What is up, guys? It's IFM here, bringing you the first black and white OU match of this SPL season. We have Finchinator versus LuckOverSkill. And as you can see, with the lead matchup, Finchinator's managed to get his Landers Therian in against the Jirachi for Luck. And this is probably going to force the Jirachi out, and it might give Finch a chance to set up Stealth Rocks, as either that Landorus or that Heatran are going to be the Stealth Rock Pokemon, though I could definitely also imagine this being a Choice Scarf variant of that Landorus Therian, and him just going for a quick U-turn right here. And obviously he also has to worry a little bit about a Scarf Ice Punch, but as you can see, it is faster than the Jirachi, is able to get that U-turn off, and he is then able to trap it with the Magnezone. So unless this Jirachi does have a U-turn of its own, it's going to be taken down in a couple hits from this Magnezone, but it does give him the opportunity to get some Stealth Rocks up, and the Volt Switch is dropped there. And as you can see from that 72% damage, that is most definitely a Choice Specs. So we have this Choice Scarf Landorus and the Choice Specs Magnezone. He might be going for some kind of team with a whole fuck ton of Choice Pokemon, as he also does have that Latios and that Scizor, which commonly run a Choice item. And now LuckOverSkill is really forced to probably go to his Keldeo, as Landorus is not going to be doing a whole lot to it, and does give it an opportunity to throw out either a Secret Sword or a Scald, depending on what it wants to do. And Scald can obviously go and burn the Latios, but it has to worry about the Gastrodon switching in. So I'm thinking first time around he might just go for that Secret Sword, but we gotta wait for him to switch it in. I really think it's the best option here. He could also go for the Landorus of his own, and maybe go for a slower U-turn or something like that to keep momentum up on his side. But with the early Pokemon being taken down, it is going to be quite difficult to deal with all the powerful threats that Finchinator is throwing out. And unless this Volcarona has a combination of HP Ground and Giga Drain, which is so unlikely it's not going to be true, it's going to be very hard for him to break through the combination of that Heatran and that Gastrodon. And then, like I was saying earlier, the Keldeo does come in to force out this Landorus. It's just going to be a quick U-turn here from Finchinator, unless he doesn't want to risk the Choice Scarf Keldeo being able to go and take it out with something like a Scarf Scald or Scarf Hydro Pump. So I'm expecting Finchinator, either to just U-turn or straight switch. He's just going to straight switch into that Latios, and that is most definitely, I believe, Specs Keldeo, as it does a whopping 45% damage to that Latios. And it's going to, next time around, just be able to take it out with another Secret Sword. So that goes his really best option to switch into the Keldeo, though it could be a Recover set, which is probably likely. So I'm expecting just a Recover here from Finchinator, and Keldeo might switch out to the T-Tar. But this is just a great opportunity for LuckOverSkill, because he can either have that Latios at 30% health after the Stealth Rock switch in, or he can just trap it and kill it right here with his Tyranitar if it is some sort of Choice variant, which it most likely is, because you did see the Stealth Rock on that Jirachi. So like I said, yeah, great position here for LuckOverSkill. Keldeo just does massive damage to Finchinator's team once this Latios is weakened, because Gastrodon, it really doesn't want to be switching in to any of the Specs Secret Swords that are going to be flying out, and the only resist besides Latios is that Landorus Therian. So all he has to do is get Keldeo in on Landorus, and he can pretty much kill something every single time it comes in once this Latios is taken care of by either another Secret Sword or by this Tyranitar. So it's really, I believe Finchinator's, he's the one that's taking a little bit of a while here, because he really has to decide what he wants to have happen. And he's just going to end up switching into that Landorus, and that does give him the advantage right here, because Landorus really just hard counters this Tyranitar, is going to be able to get a U-turn off, is going to be able to keep up the pressure there on LuckOverSkill's team. He can obviously just go and U-turn to that Scizor and just start this U-turn chain going, And he also has that Magnezone for the Volt Switch as well, if he wants to try to just U-turn spam down LuckOverSkill's team. But unfortunately, he doesn't have hazards of his own set up yet. and there is Stealth Rocks up on his side of the field, so he's just going to be taking 12.5% health on most of his Pokemon every single time he wants to go for a little bit of the U-turn spam. And instead, he decides to just go for that Earthquake, and there's a pursuit there from LuckOverSkill. That is quite surprising. Obviously, it would have killed if Finchinator had decided to switch out, most likely going to be the Choice Band T-Tar, but unfortunately it doesn't, and that's going to be his Latios check down, which is pretty critical, because now Latios is able to get in on that Keldeo once something is sacked, and it'll be able to start recovering up and just get back all its HP, because T-Tar is so low and it's not going to threaten it. And that's going to be a Scarf Landorus of LuckOverSkill's own. It's going to just U-turn out of the Magnezone that switched in, and now he's able to get a little bit of an advantage going if he wants to switch in his Keldeo and just throw out a Secret Sword, because it's most likely going to be killing anything that switches in. Forget the exact HP that Landorus is at. For LuckOverSkill, it's at 33% health. So pretty much anything that LuckOverSkill decides to do with that Keldeo, I mean, he's just going to Secret Sword, but it's going to take something down now. As you did see earlier that it was the Specs Magnezone, so obviously outspeeds him. Kind of curious why he's taking so long to make this move. Maybe he's kind of wondering how he's going to deal with this Latios once Keldeo kills something, because it just takes one sack, Latios gets in for free, able to start recovering. It's very difficult for LuckOverSkill to deal with this. So the Keldeo is going to be dropped right here, and it's going to be able to just throw out a Secret Sword, and something's going to die. Guaranteed 100%. And Finchinator decides, Magnezone's not super useful. We've already trapped and killed the Steel with it. So it's perfectly okay for it to just take that Secret Sword itself. And the Latios comes in, like I was saying, and now just a quick recover. And it's going to be back in business here for Finchinator. That was a huge misplay, I believe, from LuckOverSkill earlier when he decided to pursuit that Landorus with his Tyranitar, because it completely fucks his game plan now. Not being able to reliably spam stuff with Keldeo, with that Latios still in the way and no way to trap it, because obviously the T-Tar is at 5% health thanks to that Earthquake. It's really going to put a dent in his game in the future. So Starmie is going to be able to come in here, and Starmie really is not going to be doing a whole lot, because you do see that Gastrodon out there on Finchinator's side of the field. And it's going to be very difficult for LuckOverSkill to break this team, because the Gastrodon plus the Heatran, they counter the Volcarona. You have the Latios plus the Scizor plus the Landorus that are all able to deal with different moves from the Landorus of LuckOverSkills. Obviously, like I said, Starmie hard countered by Gastrodon. T-Tar is at 5%, and the Latios is hard countered by that Keldeo, and we're really going to have to see, maybe a Scald Burn on that Latios to break it, because the Sandstorm plus the Stealth Rocks plus the burn damage would be doing massive amounts every time it wants to switch in. So that's probably the opening that LuckOverSkill is searching for, and the Ice Beam does nothing there to that Scizor, and it's just going to lead Starmie with not a whole lot of opportunities to do anything. It is not going to be the Analytic Starmie, because you can see that damage only doing 22%. Analytic would definitely do a lot more than that. So Scizor is just going to be able to, throw out a U-turn maybe, depending on the set, or just try and set up. But that is going to be a U-turn into the Volcarona, and we do see our first instance of some major hacks this game, as the Flame Body does go off on that Scizor, does take it down to, well, it's going to be at 60% health after the switch in, another switch in because of Stealth Rocks and the burn damage. This Scizor is just pretty much useless right now. So that's just a great opportunity for LuckOverSkill to start dishing out a little bit of damage, though this Latios is going to threaten out Volcarona pretty much immediately. It can't risk taking a Draco Meteor to the face, but unfortunately he doesn't really have anything else that wants to take a Draco Meteor to the face, so I'm expecting he'll probably just sacrifice this Tyranitar and then go into the Landorus to try to threaten with a U-turn and get a little bit of momentum back on his side of the field. So yeah, probably just going to be a Draco here from Finchinator, though he could obviously not go for that as well. If he doesn't really want to risk it, maybe even go for a ballsy recover, predicting the T-Tar switch in, then he's able to just kill it the next turn, be at a little bit more health, because obviously that Sandstorm plus that Life Orb damage is going to be chipping it down over time, and it's not something you really want to deal with in an extended stay for the Latios. So I'm expecting, if he has a big dick, he's going to go for the recover right here, because the T-Tar switch in was pretty obvious. Unfortunately, Finchinator does not have a big penis. It's confirmed right here. And the Draco Meteor just kills off that 5% T-Tar and leaves the Latios dead to a Keldeo Secret Sword if it's switching into it. So that's pretty critical, because that's the main check you wanted. So now next time that Keldeo comes in, you have to sacrifice something if it gets on anything that is able to throw a move out against. But thankfully he does have that Scizor, which is now pretty much useless. So that's definitely something that is a good sack to have. And like I was saying, Landorus Therian comes in on the Latios, threatens it out with U-turn, because you cannot lose this Latios. Basically your win condition against that Keldeo. And it's just going to probably be either the Landorus of his own that takes this U-turn, or the Scizor, which is useless. But if you let Scizor take this, you do kind of get a little bit of momentum back onto the side of LuckOverSkill, but at the same time, you don't want Landorus to be taking the Stealth Rock damage plus that U-turn damage, as it probably only has 2 switches left, which could come in key later on in the game, because obviously that Scarf is pretty effective at dealing with both the Keldeo and the Starmie. So you want to keep that around, so if you get some chip damage on either one of them, it's an easy KO for the Landorus. So it is just going to be, the Scizor comes in, takes that U-turn, going to drop down to 35% health, and the Volcarona is going to come back in once again. Sorry, I've got a leftovers 41. And now, depending on what its coverage move is, it can either deal with the Heatran or the Gastrodon. Like I said, it probably has HP Ground or Giga Drain, but it's not going to have both. And now it's up to Finchinator to kind of, test this Volcarona and try to figure out its exact moveset, because obviously it's going to have a Fire move, it's going to have Bug Buzz, and it's going to have Quiver Dance, but that last coverage move is really going to be key to breaking Finchinator's team. He has to correctly predict what moveset this is going to be, or otherwise the combination of the Volcarona plus the Starmie plus the Keldeo is pretty much going to do a number to Finchinator's squad. And he's going to decide not to really reveal anything right there. He does predict the switch-in of the Heatran, going to get a little bit of chip damage up on that. As you can see, there is no leftovers on that Heatran, and it's going to give this Landorus an opportunity to either throw out an Earthquake, which is quite risky considering there are 2 immunes left on the side of Finchinator, or he's just going to be able to go for a safe play with a U-turn. But that does leave the Starmie open to getting hit with some kind of move like a Magma Storm, or it also gives an opportunity to Finchinator to set up some Stealth Rocks. Though, if you do get Starmie in on that, it's a pretty clear just rapid spin of your own to get rid of the hazards and just kind of keep that hazard advantage going. Something LuckOverSkill definitely has to his advantage, since Finchinator has no way of removing the Stealth Rocks on his own side of the field. And I'm expecting probably just going to be the U-turn. That's really the safe play in this situation, because you're not super scared of this Heatran in the future. Though if you are running a Giga Drain Volcarona set, it would be very critical to be able to take it out right now, because that would basically mean a win if you get a Quiver Dance up against anything once this Heatran's dead. So Finchinator does not want to risk that, and he does just switch this Scizor in to take that superpower. Gonna drop, and Landorus is now at -1 attack and -1 defense from that, so it gives Finchinator an opportunity to start getting things rolling back in his own direction. Though it's going to be very key to see how he plays around the combination of this Landorus and this Keldeo and the Volcarona, because all of them are able to deal with certain aspects of his team if he predicts wrong. And the Starmie is obviously just hard countered by the Gastrodon, so that's not a huge worry. It's just going to be able to prevent any kind of hazards getting up on the side of the field. Interesting here, he obviously must have calced it, realized that Superpower is not going to be KOing right here. So it's a free recover, and it gets him out of a position where the Keldeo is going to be able to kill it in one hit with Secret Sword plus Sand plus the Stealth Rock damage. So Starmie is going to come in to try to counter this Latios. Just going to be an easy switch in to the Gastrodon, but he has to really consider a potential double here from LuckOverSkill, maybe trying to get a Giga Drain Volcarona or something like that in on it, but it's just going to be the Ice Beam, and actually that was Anal Me. That is massive damage. Going to take it down to 54% health. Unfortunately, that's not going to be enough to KO with a second one, as the Gastrodon is still sitting at 54% health, and obviously you don't get the analytic boost the second time around. So, going to be interesting to see what he does here. It's really, this Gastrodon is massively hard to deal with. Your options are pretty much KO it with Specs Secret Sword or have Giga Drain on the Volcarona, because neither the Starmie or that Landorus are able to deal with it effectively, and it's just able to switch in and recover off pretty much any sort of damage that's going to be thrown out here from LuckOverSkill. And the Volcarona does come in. If it's the Giga Drain set, like I was saying, it does have an opportunity to break through this Gastrodon, but it's looking kind of dire here for LuckOverSkill, because this Gastrodon is just a huge pain in the ass, especially combined with the Heatran. So it's going to be very difficult to try to break through the remainder of Finchinator's team, though he does still have the offensive options in his back pocket that are able to do that. And it's going to just be the double switch from both of them. The Landorus comes in to deal with this Heatran. Great switch there by LuckOverSkill, going to lead to another little bit of a prediction war right here. And he's able to get off something like a U-turn out of this Heatran, and Landorus is going to be quite difficult to deal with coming down the line, depending on how much that Earthquake does do to Gastrodon. I don't have a calculator up right now, so I'm not able to check, but I'm expecting it might do around 50% health. So it's going to be a prediction war pretty much dealing with this Landorus, especially since the Landorus of Finchinator is sitting at 33% health, and it does take a Stealth Rock hit every time it switches in. So max it has 3 more switches in, but most likely it's going to be taking some form of damage. So it's probably only going to be 1 or 2. As you can see, it does come in right here. Eats a U-turn, going to go down to 10% health, which means this Landorus is not going to be switching in again this match. And now LuckOverSkill is going to be able to get a little bit of an offensive advantage going his own way. Probably just going to make a double into his own Landorus, and he decided that Keldio's HP mattered the least, so he lets it take that 1 turn of Sandstorm damage, as Volcarona and Starmie both are a little bit less resilient at this point in time than the Keldeo, though obviously the Starmie does have the opportunity to potentially have Recover on that set, but not super likely. So Keldeo actually is just going to tank up this hit. That's very surprising. I think that was a pretty big choke there from LuckOverSkill, because that's pretty much free opportunity for Landorus to come back in, and the other opponent Landorus not to have another switch in this game. And with that, Keldeo sitting at 12% health, all he really needs to do is get 2 more turns of Sandstorm damage up on it, and it's going to drop. So, great switch here from Finchinator. Is going to be able to use this Latios to deal pretty big damage now to LuckOverSkill's team, though he still has to worry a little bit about the Landorus plus Volcarona combo, and they're able to break through a lot of the things that he might decide to do. I'm expecting him just to kind of take the kill right here. Just go for a Psyshock and get rid of that Keldeo, though it does leave the opportunity for LuckOverSkill to switch in the Starmie on it, and it's actually going to be a Grass Knot set here from Latios. That is very surprising, not seen that often. Maybe looking to counter Gastrodon if the opponent has it, and is kind of thinking like-minded to Finchinator, bringing that slug to the matchup. And Landorus comes in, going to KO here with the U-turn if Finchinator decides to leave the Pokemon in. And if he does, that'll be pretty critical. So he's just going to make a Big Dick play, switch in that Heatran, and LuckOverSkill does not take the prediction right there. And it's going to be Starmie in on that Heatran. Heatran's now sitting at 57% health, so these Stealth Rock switch-ins are doing a number to it. And it's going to be a double there from LuckOverSkill, going to be the Volcarona switching in to that Gastrodon, and is able to threaten it with a Giga Drain, potentially. So this is kind of getting critical here. And it's time to really find out what this set is. You could either see a Giga Drain here from Volcarona. You could potentially see a Quiver Dance. It might even be Pasho Berry, so you're not even super worried about potentially trying to set up on this Gastrodon, because it would be able to take 1 Scald quite easily with a Pasho Berry, and the special defensive boost from using Quiver Dance. So Volcarona in against this Gastrodon, and we're really just waiting to see what fucking moveset he's got on him, as that's really going to be very decisive in this game. Finchinator has tools to deal with either one, but they're not amazing. And there's a great double switch there from LuckOverSkill, going to be able to get the Landorus in on that Heatran. And now it's pretty much 50-50 time for Finchinator. He either switches in that Latios and is able to get a free kill with Draco Meteor, or he stays in predicting a U-turn and is able to fire off potentially a Magnet Storm or get Stealth Rocks up, which would basically cripple the Volcarona, though if he did go for the U-turn and the Stealth Rocks were dropped, it's obviously a Starmie switch in right here, so the rocks wouldn't be doing a huge amount, because obviously it's going to have Rapid Spin when there's a Volcarona on the side of LuckOverSkill. And we're just waiting on the players, and it's going to be a Gastrodon switch in actually, as the U-turn is dropped. As you can see, it does 25%. And that definitely means an Earthquake's going to be a 2-hit KO, and Volcarona's going to drop in once a motherfucking again to deal with this Gastrodon. I apologize, my screen just turned off. Anyways, it's going to be able to deal with this Gastrodon with the Giga Drain. I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself a little bit here, but basically it's going to really come down to sets, and the players are definitely taking their time with this being SPL. They don't want to fuck anything up and be the first loss in this matchup, because I believe this is Biggs versus Biggs versus someone else. So it is going to be the Giga Drain Volcarona being dropped right there. Does 7% health to that Heatran, so ain't gonna really do shit. LuckOverSkill did not take the opportunity to have a fancy double switch into his own Landorus, but that Landorus is still gonna be able to put out a lot of pressure the rest of this game if you can kind of just get switches and hazard damage up with it over the course of this match. That Stealth Rock on turn 2 is proving quite critical, as that's basically his tool to wear down Finchinator's team. Finchinator just can't maintain the amount of switches that he wants to do and the amount of defensive plays he wants to make with that Stealth Rocks up on the side of his field. And it's really quite crippling to his team. Obviously, Gastrodon doesn't mind it quite as much as the Heatran of the Latios, only taking 6.2, and it's able to recover that off with leftovers every time. But to the other two Pokemon, they're really starting to wear down. And obviously with that Giga Drain on the Volcarona, plus the super powerful Earthquakes from that Landorus, he definitely has tools to break through Finchinator's team. And it's going to be Landorus switching in as the Stealth Rocks is dropped, and that is critical, because now this Volcarona, if Finchinator is correctly able to play around this Starmie, he's either going to be able to get a kill on the Starmie or a kill on the Volcarona with the Stealth Rocks. But Landorus is a huge issue right here, and it's another 50-50. If he U-turns, probably honestly the safest option. He'll kill the Latios, he'll deal another 25% to that Gastrodon, leaving it very low, or he'll just deal a nice amount of chip damage to that Heatran, potentially giving it only 1 or 2 more switch-ins. Obviously, I think max it can have, if that's full. Yeah, max it has is 2 more switch-ins if that 25% is slightly above 25%. But beyond that, it's going to be just a dead Heatran. The Chople Berry is not going to do a whole lot, and that means that it's pretty much game here for LuckOverSkill. He has the Volcarona to deal with this Latios and the Gastrodon. He has the Landorus to deal with them both, and the Starmie just to get rid of the hazard that has been set up. Though there is a slight issue here with the Stealth Rocks being up on the field. You either have to sacrifice the Starmie or the Volcarona to this Latios, or it's just going to start throwing out attacks and dealing a ton of damage. So I guess it's probably not game, actually. So this game is taking for fucking ever. It's been a 24-minute thing, and it's going to go for the superpower on that Latios, and it does give Finchinator the opportunity to roost up, and every successive superpower that this Landorus throws out, it gets weaker and weaker. So I definitely think Finchinator still has a shot if he's able to take out the Volcarona, because beyond that, nothing really will one-hit the Gastrodon, and it can one-hit the Landorus with an Ice Beam. It can pretty much hard counter the Starmie, so it's just a matter of will the Life Orb Starmie, Ice Beam, plus the Earthquake be able to kill this Gastrodon? I'm not entirely sure. because Finchinator is going to be getting a kill right here with this Latios, and it's going to be able to take down this Landorus, possibly, and we'll see if he just decides to go for another Roost here, which is pretty critical, because now he's sitting at 84% health, so after another Superpower plus Life Orb damage, he's going to be a little bit lower than that, but anyways, he's going to be able to go for the Draco Meteor right here, but that is going to leave the Latios at that -2 special attack mark, which will make it so Landorus won't get KO'd the next time it decides to switch in. So LuckOverSkill is basically just saying, fucking Draco Meteor, I dare you, next time you won't be able to one-shot me, so I can just go and clean you up with the Landorus. And there's going to be another Roost here from Finchinator. I don't recall the exact PP that Superpower has. I will check. Yeah, he's only got 3 more Superpowers left. So if he wants to, he could just keep roosting and make the Landorus take damage with the struggle. And I think that might be what he decides to do, as there's a key critical hit right there. But as you can see, Finchinator is deciding to take the safe route here, and is going to try to put this Landorus into a potential struggle position, which will allow him to net an easier KO later on. As the Starmie does switch in on that Roost, it's going to give it an opportunity to either throw out an Ice Beam or go for that Rapid Spin. But now that Latios is back up to full HP, this is definitely a game again, because it has a lot of tools to deal with these remaining Pokemon. It's really just a matter of how they get used. And yeah, as Finchinator drops in chat, that crit was quite unfortunate, as it does leave him in quite an awkward situation here, with that Starmie being in on the Latios, because he was basically forced to Roost this turn, as opposed to going for a little bit of a more offensive option. And there is going to be the Ice Beam dropped from that Starmie, and it's not going to be able to kill this in one hit. And now next attack that Starmie uses, it's going to die to a combination of Life Orb Recoil plus the Sandstorm damage. So there is an opportunity here to just kind of go to the Gastrodon if you want to, or even stay in with the Latios, knowing that Volcarona is sitting at, sorry, the health's not popping up, 45% health, so it is going to die to Stealth Rocks. And this means it's basically down to this Landorus versus Gastrodon. Is Landorus going to be able to kill in one Earthquake? I do not believe it is, and it does not. And there's going to be the recover there from Gastrodon. So obviously he's not carrying Ice Beam. Oh, actually he is. He's just going to go for that Ice Beam. Is able to take out the Gastrodon. Great victory there from Finchinator. The Volcarona is going to die for the Stealth Rocks, and that is pretty much game. Great job there to Finchinator, and that was an amazing match. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been IFM from IFMstudios, covering the Smogon Premier League, and I will have more videos in the future as we get down and dirty with this amazing tournament. Thanks, and make sure to like and subscribe. IFM out.